Hello, everybody. My name is Julian J. Walker, Associate Director for Communities of Color and Media here at GLAAD. Sending y'all so much love and positive vibes. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with filmmaker, photographer, author, and TV producer Elegance Bratton on the release of his upcoming film, The Inspection, releasing Friday, November 18th in theaters. Thank you so much for joining me, Elegance. How are you?
Really good. Thank you for having me. It's really exciting. I love GLAAD. Love what GLAAD does in the world. It's always a pleasure to have a conversation with friends.
Yes, I agree. Congratulations on the upcoming release of The Inspection. I
Thank
know
you.
it must feel like a dream come true. How are you feeling in preparation of Friday?
I'm really thrilled. I'm super anxious. It took 5 years to get the movie made in total. So from the first draft of the script to this moment of release, it's been just a little over 5 years. So, it's like giving birth in slow motion, you know. So
Yes.
now it's the babies have to be out in the world, and I'm excited. I'm thrilled, but like I would be lying if I didn't say I was a little bit nervous.
I understand. Well, I must tell you that I was able to watch a screening of The Inspection and it was so beautiful. It was
Oh,
absolutely amazing. And I gotta start this conversation by saying that the work that you continue to create speaks volumes within our community. And it's
uh,
creating spaces for more Black queer stories and those stories with familiar experiences and individuals to see themselves within your journey. So on behalf of the entire community, I must say thank you so much for just releasing this baby into the world.
thank you so much. That's very sweet. It means a lot to me to hear that, and because you contributed to our canon as well. So I appreciate that from you. And yeah, it's a dream. It is a dream come true. It really is.
That's so beautiful. It's just amazing, and I can't wait for all of y'all to see this film. So, the inspection is based on your lived experience. So, can you tell our friends watching a little bit about this beautiful film?
Sure. The film comes out of my own life story. When I was 16 years old, I was kicked out of my house for being gay. I spent 10 years homeless, and kind of blamed myself for everything. Felt like, the fact that I couldn't be what my mother wanted me to be was the reason why my life had turned out so bad.
Mhm.
And then I joined the Marine Corps, and I was fortunate enough to have a drill instructor remind me that my life was important, that I had value, that I was not worthless, because at least in that uniform, I had a responsibility to protect the person to my left and to my right. And that's why I made the film. We're at a point in our kind of political economy where polarization is the name of the game right now. And, the left is yelling at the right and gay against straight, black against white, and we're screaming at each other across our differences. And I feel like for me, this lesson was transformational, and it helped me to understand how to speak to people who were different from me. Like being in the military, being in the Marine Corps was my opportunity to learn how to talk to folks who saw the world a different way. And because we understand our intrinsic connection, we are always trying to find the middle ground, even when we disagree. And maybe it's a place that people don't expect that type of thing to come from, but I think it's a good I think it's necessary right now. So that's where the film comes from. And really, it's a story about the unbreakable bonds between mothers and sons. And it's really about us. It's about our community, and our, our superpower is our ability to discover and act out our most authentic selves. And I wanted to put that power on display.
I love that. I must first hit on you said superpower, and one thing that gets me through because I'm really big on mental health, and so
Mm,
I constantly encourage the community of understanding that your personality, your individuality is your
mm.
superpower, you know,
Yes.
and you take that and you go out into the world and you shine as bright as you possibly can, you know. So I love that you mentioned that. And one beautiful thing is that the inspection gave me insight into a world that I don't or that we don't often publicly see individuals talking about. So can you tell us about the moment where you knew that I must share my story of all of this with the world?
Um, wow. what was the moment? I mean, it all starts with this notion of like our value as human
Mhm.
beings being determined by our ability to protect one another. I just thought that that needed to be stated in terms of like the kind of moment, act like the real kind of moment in time. Um, I had sold my first TV show, My House to Viceland, in 2017, 2018, and I finally had a little bit of money for the first time in my life. And
That's
yeah, I mean, I thought it was a lot. It's actually I should have got paid a lot more, but whatever. You know, you live and you but nonetheless, I like kind of had a moment where I felt like I would never be that stable again. So if I wanted to write, when am I going to have 6 months to sit down and write something and not have to work a job? So I took advantage of that time and I wrote 3 scripts while I was still in film school.
Mhm.
And I went to Chester, my creative partner, and one of the producing partners on the film, The Inspection, and my husband. So I should say my husband, my husband. That's what it was because they're non-binary. So yesterday I'm like, I'll call them a husband, and then
I
that
know
way,
that's right.
you know. but nonetheless, I went to them and I was like, look, which one should I do? And Chester said that your best quality as a storyteller is taking the audience to a place that they can't go without you.
Wow.
And so you need to tell something that's personal. And there's no place that you've been that no one's ever really done what you've done in terms of that experience of going to boot camp and going from homelessness to boot camp and navigating that.
Yeah.
That's the story you should tell. And that was 5 years ago. So,
Wow.
yeah, that was 5 years ago. And then, like, you do what you do. You write a draft, you submit it to some places, they all say no. You write another draft. You know what I mean? Like,
The
um, I had
journey, the journey.
a, I had a buddy who had started his career at A24, and we went to undergrad together at Columbia. And so I wrote the first draft, and I was confident. I called him, like, yo, man, I got it, bro. I got it. You got to get this. You got to get this fire, And I'm like, this is totally an A24 movie. And I sent it to him, and he read it. And he's like, man, this is not an A24 movie. not, not
No.
yet. And and then, we applied to, like, again, all the labs, got rejected to all the labs multiple times. And then I got to a point where I was over labs. I was like, I'm not applying to any more labs. And then my partner Chester applied to Tribeca All Access without me knowing. And because if you talk to me about it, I've been like, I'm not doing that because that's not it.
I'm
But
done. I'm
I'm
done.
done. I was just like, I'll just go to Hollywood. That was my mentality. I'll just knock on every door until one of the doors say yes. And then Chester got into the Tribeca All Access Lab. We took 60 meetings. They were really great meetings. Didn't sell it, but learned more about the story, refined the story a bit more. And then Chester took that version, applied to Film Independent. Producing Lab got in. We got some incredible notes from that. And
Yeah.
then that version got us into Fast Track. And when we did Fast Track, we did 60 meetings in 3 days as well. At this time, we got 12 offers.
Oh God.
And so then I sent my friend a text from A24. I sent him a text of like Harry Potter on the train going to Hogwarts, and he's like waving goodbye. And I was like, man, if you don't jump on this, the train's moving. You're gonna miss
Listen.
the miss the train if you don't get on it now. And they listened, and then kind of in the interim between just before that call, really, Effie Brown. We met Effie Brown in 2018 initially at the last Film Independent Gala for LA Film Festival, and Chester pitched her and was like, "Girl, you got to do this movie. This is an Effie Brown thing. You would love it." Da, 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 da. We sent it. She didn't write back, and then we got, and then we got,
Jeez.
but then we got into the Film Independent Lab. So almost simultaneously to me reaching out to my contact at A24, Effie was hearing about it through her network in Hollywood, and then she called us up. Is like, "You got to get in here and talk to me about the movie." And we talked about it, and she read it. And she really, really liked it, and she jumped on. And then, but it's like when things start to happen, they kind of all happen in the
Yeah.
same time. It's like 10 hours. it makes one thing first and one thing second can sometimes be the difference of the morning and the afternoon when it starts to happen, So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, but that's how it came together.
That's really beautiful. It sounded like, once that train started moving, it really did pick up speed. It was like, hey, you better if you don't get me while this train stop, I mean while it's going, hey,
Yes,
it's over
yes.
after that. That's so beautiful. And I love that, that you're sharing that story of understanding like throughout your career. And this is speaking even to, like our friends watching throughout your career,
Mhm.
there will be multiple no's.
Yes.
There will be multiple dead ends. There will be multiple moments of where you're like, you know what, it's just I thought this was for me. I don't know if it is, because people aren't seeing what I see right now. But,
Right.
the story of what you shared is just a testament of, don't let the no stop you.
Mhm.
There's so much life after a no. There's
Yeah,
so much life after, whatever you thought was supposed to be the way to get there, it doesn't work out. There's so much more life outside of that. So I
true.
thank you so much for sharing. I read that during filming that y'all filmed in Mississippi. Is that
Yeah. Oh, you are from Mississippi. I forgot.
Yes,
You
I'm
are from
from
Mississippi.
Jackson, Mississippi. I was like,
Yeah, we
oh
were
my
in Jackson. We were in Jackson. Yeah,
God.
we were
Yes,
at we
Jackson.
were at the what is it called? The Hilton Suites downtown.
Yes.
Yeah, we were like unfortunately, right across from the last abortion clinic, and the one that ended Roe v. Wade. And they were our next door neighbors, so we would wake up to that at like ungodly hours. It was crazy. It was crazy. It
Oh,
is wild, and it was so hot. We shot in the summer. It was
listen,
so hot. Oh
Miss,
my gosh.
listen, that Mississippi heat is not like anything else I've experienced. I remember as a child, because my father was in the military. He
Oh,
served,
really?
yeah, he served for like 23 years. And so
Oh,
we
wow.
we lived in Germany for a period. And
Oh,
when we
wow.
came back to the States and we got off the plane, and like you get your baggage, you walk out. So I'm
Yes.
assuming it was a taxi at that point. But the humidity
Mm,
slapped me in the face,
mm,
and I was like,
mm, mm.
"Oh my
Yeah,
God!" So
yeah,
yes,
brutal,
the Mississippi
brutal.
something serious, and y'all filmed within 19 days.
Yeah, we shot the whole movie at the Miliota Police Academy in
Wow.
Pearl, and
Yes.
and it was interesting because the academy is started by Lieutenant Colonel Thomas Tuggle, who himself is a veteran Marine, and I think he went to boot camp in 1987.
Whoa.
So the academy itself is like his emotional memory of what Paris Island, South Carolina was. And even the way he trains the cops, he's like a really progressive force in policing. Like he's teaching them all sorts of things about sensitivity training, de-escalation, and why you don't need to shoot first, and all that kind of stuff. And if you have to shoot, where to shoot. He's really applies a very kind of Marine Corps aesthetic. So it's interesting because my script is my emotional memory of Paris Island. So there's this like incredible alignment between the document and the location that was really, really cool. And then also for the actors, we folded them into the police academy training as well. So they spent time training with them, and then we had a 2 week boot camp before we started shooting, where I had my good girlfriend Taya Jones, who I actually served with in Hawaii when I was a private and she was a
Oh my
sergeant.
goodness.
Yeah, yeah, and it was funny because on set, she had just got off of drill instructor duty before coming to my set, so she was an actual. She had just been living and breathing it for like 5 years, and we had some other incredible consultants as well. Our friend Kelly, my good friend Martel, Taya's husband, my good friend Scott Whittington, one of my best friends. But Taya was the lead one, so it was funny because I didn't know how to pronounce her first name. And I've known her for well over a decade because when we served together, she was a sergeant and I was a private. So I just knew her as Sergeant Jones for years. And I know how to spell her first name, but I'd never said it out loud to know how to say it. So when she got to my set, I was mispronouncing her name like crazy. And I didn't know that until the very end when she told me. And I was like, why didn't you tell me this like 2 months ago, 3 months ago? And
Wow.
she was like, well, you're the boss now. I can't tell you if you're wrong. Like, isn't that funny?
Very.
You know,
That
it,
is wild. Like that you mentioned that the Cavs had an opportunity to like literally train 2 weeks before. That's
oh
really cool.
yeah. Oh, I said, listen, I need you to put your foot in their ass like you would any kid off of any bus in the United States of America. They need to know what this Marine Corps thing is, you know? And she
Um,
did it. And it got so serious that, like, because Jeremy came in on his birthday. They told this story last night, SAG event, but Jeremy came to set on his birthday, and she had already like the other actors showed up, and they were like maybe 30 seconds late. Like he was like, "You're late. Stand over there," and like just like giving them full Marine Corps, right? So then Jeremy comes in, and I guess she jumps on him for being late, and he's like, "But it's my birthday, please," you know. And he calls me up, and he's like, "Yo, what is going on here? Like, I'm an actor. I don't necessarily to do
oh
this,
my goodness.
but I wanted to create that fully kind of immersive environment so that way, you know, there's something about how that training forms people into a unit, you know, that I
Yeah,
wanted to make part and parcel of the whole experience.
that's really beautiful. That is really beautiful. And
Yeah. Oh, you said 23 days. Okay, so yeah, so we were initially promised 23 days, but we shot in the summer, right? And it's like biblically hot in the summer in Mississippi. So that was a challenge. And then we had the COVID pandemic. So we ended up having a shutdown. And in the middle of it, we shot I think we shot like 14 days, 13 days, something like that. And then went down for 4 months waiting for everybody to kind of schedules to realign again. And then when we come back, we ended up losing a week because of just the budgetary element of it all. You lose that much time, you're going to lose some money as well.
yeah.
So when we came back, we actually shot the movie in 19 days in total.
My goodness. Y'all are a talented bunch. And I must say that each cast performance was absolutely amazing. And so one thing that I love to do in these conversations is speak on the importance of mental health within uh,
Mm,
mental health for Black queer men. And so
mm,
you mentioned openly your experience with homelessness, heartbreak, and finding oneself within the journey. So I have a two-part question, if that's okay, before we close really quick.
yeah, yeah.
So the first question is, what are intentional ways that you nurture your mental health and well-being
Mm.
to ensure that you show up fully as your most authentic self?
Wow. I love this question. It's a few things. I mean, when I'm really, really good, I'm exercising a lot, eating right, drinking water, just the basics, you know, when I'm good. I need to exercise a little bit more right now, but I'm getting there a little bit. I'm getting motivated slowly. Um, what else? I'm really into music. I listen to music that makes me feel good. I love listening to like gospel, like hearing people just like I forgot his name, but there's this thing called Taco Tuesdays in LA. I forgot the guy's.
Yeah.
He's like a vocal coach. She like works with everybody,
Oh,
and
I think I know what you're talking about.
yeah,
Yes.
like Deron goes there, and like Avery
Yes.
Johnson goes there. And the other day I was listening to that in the hotel room because I had been to like my eighth city in like 9 days. So and just listening to that music, listening to people sing really makes me calm down and feel good. And then I guess I like to read, but I mean the main thing I do is I'm a creative person. I like to write. I like to get things out of me. I like
Mhm.
what I'm saying. So I like to a part of my process is making things when I feel a certain kind of way, because
Yeah.
then I can put that feeling into that thing, and then it's not as much in me as it was at least for a while. Sometimes you have to make a few things about a thing to get it out of you fully, but you
Listen,
know.
I know that's right. That's really beautiful. I too, first thing in the morning, I wake up. Gospel is my go-to.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
so for for individuals, young youth LGBTQ plus, who
Mm,
are facing similar experiences such as French,
right.
what advice or words of encouragement would you like to offer to them?
I hope that by the end of this viewing experience, if you're a person who's ever felt disregarded and abandoned and alone, someone has told you that you're not enough and that you don't have a future. Hope that by the end of the inspection, you are certain that you are enough and that you deserve good things in life. And that would be my advice: is to dream big, dream practically. You know, it's hard to build Rome in a day, and sometimes you might need a complete transformation to happen right now.
Yeah.
But I can tell you from my experience, not to get churchy, but I when I was homeless, I said a prayer for to learn how to thrive, to get out of this trap that I was in of like day-to-day survival. And that was like almost 20 years ago. And at the time, as soon as I said it, God had already said yes. I didn't know that, you know? And you have to be committed. You have to always pick yourself. Even in a world like, we're in a world 1 out of 2 Black gay men are going to be HIV positive in their lifetime. We're 8 times more likely to commit suicide, 8 times more likely to be homeless. And, there's a line in the trailer where French says, if I die on the street, I'm just another statistic. But if I die in a uniform, I'm a hero. And that line is critical of the society that we live in, right? It's a pro-troop film. It's not anti-military, it's not pro-military, but it's defiantly pro-troop, And we're in a world where our early deaths are almost guaranteed, and it's not news. Nobody is paying attention. Nobody is doing anything about it. And I made this movie so that, you can know that you're going to have hell to be yourself. You're going to go through hell to be able to be yourself, but you too can triumph over adversity. You just have
That
to pick yourself.
Yes, that is absolutely beautiful, Elegance. I appreciate you so,
Yeah.
so very much. And thank y'all so much for watching this amazing interview. Please head to your nearest theater to catch the inspection, releasing this Friday, November 18th. We are so excited, Elegance. Congratulations to you and the entire cast and crew. Thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing your work with the world.
Hey, thank you so much, Julian, and thank you, GLAAD, for all the support. It takes a village, and GLAAD has been in my village. Even when I did Peer Kids, GLAAD supported me when I had no films. So to have this support now is a real blessing. So thank you so much, everybody at GLAAD, and be well.
Yes.
Tell
Yes,
somebody about the movie too if you
hey,
watch it.
share this interview right here. That's what
Share
y'all
this live. Share this
share it.
live.
Share it. Thank you so much, Elegance.